Hello, I'd like to call this committee meeting to order. This is October 23rd, bless you, 2023, Workforce Ready and Readiness Livable Communities Council meeting to order. Members of the public may attend this meeting virtually through Microsoft Office Team or view the meeting records by visiting www.tempe.gov/WRLC. Excuse me, I'm just something in my voice, in my throat, for more information. It's important to understand that there's no formal votes or decision about the city's programs, policies, or budgets will happen here. Our role is to explore various topics with stakeholders and with staff and stakeholders. I am so sorry, and committee members, and to make recommendations to our council congress. God. Let me just start all over again. Today is just not my day. I don't know why. Maybe is it the glasses, you guys? All right, let's keep going. Colleagues. There you go. See the word. It came. Colleagues. We want this process to be transparent and inclusive for easy I can't read today. Easy for you to be able to be a part of when you choose to be, or share your thoughts by filling out a comment card about our items or a meeting agenda, or by reaching out to us directly with any thoughts and questions or ideas. We need you to fill out a comment card in advance so it can be read into record for an agendized item. The link for the comment cards can be found on our committee webpage at www.tempe.gov/WRLC. And you will also find the contact information for the committee meetings and staff there on the non-agendized items as well. See, it didn't take me but 20 minutes to get through that, okay, you guys. Now we have a review of September 25th Rec Committee meeting minutes. Councilmember Keating, do you have a motion to approve the September 25th, 2023 meeting minutes?
I move we approve the minutes from our last committee meeting.
Okay, and I second that motion. It has been approved, since it's two of us, for that meeting. All right, public comment. Now we move into the public comments. The Rec Committee welcomes public comment according to the Arizona Open Meeting Law. The committee may only discuss matters that are listed on the agenda. Matters brought above the public under the appearance will not be listed on the agenda and cannot be discussed by the committee. A 3-minute limit per person is effective. Annie, do we have any public comments?
We did not, Councilmember Hodge.
All right, thank you. So we have none. And the first thing on our item, I would like to introduce not only a colleague, but a dear friend, president of Mesa Community College, Dr. Tammy Wilson. Oh my God, Robinson. What am I dating? I tell you today, I can't even get it together. Dr. Robinson is here to present on Mesa Community College efforts for preparing students for the workforce opportunity. Welcome, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you all so much. Which way? Go here. There we go. How is that? All right. Thank you all so much for allowing me just a few minutes of your time. I do this work with my team, and so I'd like to also introduce our dean, one of our deans for workforce development, the incomparable, the legendary Dean Michael Voss.
All right.
Mike. Come on up, Mike. Yeah, so it's really important that folks understand that workforce development is a major pillar of work at Mesa Community College. We have many partnerships and some things that have been going on for years and others that we continuously develop. It's important for us to know that our students not only come to an excellent institution, but there's also work for them when they complete it. And so we have programs from the non-credit side to the credit side. We are expanding our College Promise programs to include not only those out of high school, but our adult promise, so that more members of our community can participate in college without having to pay exorbitant fees to do so. So with that, let me go ahead and move the slide forward.
Sure. So Mesa Community College, our strategic directions, you can see them here, but I really want to talk about workforce, right? So at MCC, just so you get the size of the scope, we have about 50,000 students that we're responsible for, and at any given time, about 1/3 of those people are attending. Our workforce training programs, which are our Associate of Applied Science degrees, and our certificate programs, along with some of our emerging bachelor's degrees, represent about 15,000 students. Okay, and I want to go into, oh, sure.
Mission Building.
Oh,
I
yeah,
got you.
yeah.
I'll be your Natasha
No,
White
no,
today. I'm
no,
good. I'm good.
we can do that, yeah.
Okay, so here I'll talk for a second about our mission.
Yeah.
Please understand that one of our, it's a major mission, is something that we practice on a daily basis, that we create an inclusive and vibrant learning community. That's really important. That we inspire, that we ensure access and empower action. Though that's the mission and the vision, and of course our values are community. That's why we're here. We know that Mesa is one of the largest service areas, and we also are in the Tempe. We have Tempe students. We have students from many, many different regions, and so we're the largest college in the Maricopa system. We, of course, wrap our arms around diversity, equity, and inclusion, our leadership, continuous improvement, and the integrity of the institution going forward.
Yeah, so as we look at some of these amazing partnerships we have, clearly healthcare is big on everyone's mind. Nursing assistants, a really emerging or growing program for us. You may not know it, but nursing assisting is required now to enter into the nursing programs. And the IT Institute is our multi-college collaboration. So that is Mesa, Chandler Gilbert, Scottsdale, and Rio Salado working together in a cohesive way. And Mesa leads a lot of the thought leadership on that. We have a director that works with us and with the district on aligning all the East Valley assets in that area to meet the needs of our communities. So we put some high priority programs, Apple, blockchain, Red Hat, those type of programs there. But we also have an advanced manufacturing institute that works much the same way. It's not only East Valley, it's all the advanced manufacturing colleges in the valley, and that's Mesa, Chandler Gilbert, Gateway Community College, and Estrella Mountain all working together. We have some awesome employer partnerships. Subaru, you may not know it, donated all of our hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles at Mesa for people to work on. The Boeing partnership we have with that legacy employer is nationally renowned. So they specifically work with Mesa and Chandler Gilbert on some technical training to help their workforce. So we've trained about 400 workers for Boeing in the last 3 years. Yeah.
We've also had an opportunity, in fact, today, to visit the Mesa Meta site, where many of our students are not want to enter the workforce, but they start by working there first, taking their classes there, and getting employed almost immediately, and then moving on to staying in college as a result of that. Had an opportunity to visit the Intel campus, and we have these quick start public-private partnerships, and again, it is to get our workers into the workforce as quickly as possible, the skills that they need for the 21st century, and then again to continue their college, because now they see the relevancy of it.
So that Maricopa IT Institute in the East Valley really is a forward-thinking, innovative approach to making sure our programs are cutting edge and dealing with everything that's emerging. Just so you have a sense of how many students are on those pathways, we have about 2,500 students on that IT pathway. And we're working with Chandler Gilbert on AI, anything that's emerging, we are really in that field. And so we have people far smarter than me just really focus on that on a daily basis and trying to get all the faculty and all the assets rowing in the same direction to meet the needs of our community. I do want to highlight one thing on the slide, and that is our emphasis on underrepresented populations. We do an awesome event every November, called Girls Get IT, or Girls Get It. And at that, we have had upwards of 200 junior high, high school, and even people from out in the community who want to get into IT at that event. So that's been very successful. We rotate that event around to different colleges to really address the gender gap in that high-paying, high-wage field.
And one of the things that we want to stress with programs like Girls Get IT is that these are fields that are available to you. And so what we know about underrepresented and underserved students is that they can't be what they cannot see. And so when they come to our campuses, we're starting younger and younger in elementary school with them not only being on a college campus, but also starting to say, I can be a coder, I can work in this field. I've seen someone who does it who looks like me. Of course I can do it. So just changing that narrative, of course, increasing and sustaining the student pipeline is something that's really important. And that last bullet is also increasingly important.
Yeah. The I Belong program is really about getting iPad technology into the hands of our students. And I think we have something like 6,000 iPads that we have actively deployed with students right now. And it may be programmatic. They might have it with them for the duration of their whole certificate program or degree program. They might be issued based on the course that they're in this semester. And it makes me smile talking about this one because Apple knows that the way we deploy them and the trainers that we have in our Center for Teaching and Learning are just top of the line. And they actually have our trainers present at Apple on our approach. So it is, we've won many awards for the I Belong program.
We just won a national award through the American Association of Community Colleges, the Terry O'Bannon Award. I'm talking about like Thursday. Last Thursday, we just got it. This is also a program that really emphasizes OER, which is online educational resources, something that's really important in terms of keeping the costs down. So we have also zero textbook courses, Z degrees, where students can go through their entire programs without having to have the absorbent costs of textbooks. The I Belong program also excites students about college. Imagine an underserved and underrepresented student showing up and then they get their own iPad. And the pencil alone is about $300, right? So that becomes cost prohibitive for students. So not only do they have their books downloaded, their many of things downloaded, but we also give them workshops. We supply workshops so that students understand the full use of it, how they can take their notes in freehand, print it or whatever, and then convert it to a typed text. But also using it for whatever you want to use an iPad for, but understanding how to take notes, understanding how to use diction, understanding that the iPad has not only their books, but also it's a great tool to help them with their success and retention in the college space.
So let's talk about healthcare. That's one of the most important parts of our portfolio. We think it and the students think it. So we have about 5,600 students who are trying to do the healthcare pathway. And as you can imagine, well over half of that are people who want to go into nursing. But not everyone's going to be a nurse, right? And part of that is educating them on the other worlds of healthcare that they can pursue. So dental hygiene is also in very high demand. We have a robust EMT and paramedic training program. And one of our campuses, the Red Mountain campus, is one that we are trying to expand the identity of healthcare at that campus. And so we've recently hired a health science dean to manage the nursing programs and all the allied health programs and try to grow that menu of offerings. And it's not just one college. Actually, the approach needs to be multi-college to serve the robust needs in the East Valley. So hopefully between Mesa, Scottsdale, Chandler, Gilbert, we'll come up comprehensive solution.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is also something that I think is amazing is that last year was my first year as president, and so I tried to attend as many convocations and graduations as I could. So how do we get more men involved, more male students involved in paramedics? We know that the gender tends to be women or female students in these programs. And so we have EMT to RN programs, we have paramedic to RN programs, so that all of these areas have a pipeline, a bridge, a pathway to doing more. Many of these are how you get in, but we want all of our students, regardless of the program that they're in, to understand that this is the beginning. It is not the end. You will be an educated person and continuing your education and doing more as long as you are happy in the field that you're in. And Mesa, of course, wants to be there for that growth, for those changes that our students face. So Mesa College Promise, there you see, there I am. Oh my God. This was a wonderful day. It was February 13th. It was right after the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Don't get mad because I'm a Chiefs fan. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. So we had the honor of having our First Lady on our campus and also the Secretary of Education, Miguel Cordona. And our College Promise program is something that's heavily many of our business partners have donated to this program. Every time we ask, people give. And what is it? It is a mechanism that we have so that students, again, it eradicates obstacles. I can't afford school. Yes, you can. I can't afford the books. Yes, you can. I don't have transportation. Yes, you do. So we make sure the students have bus passes. We also make sure that their fees are taken care of. And again, 2 years fully funded. 2 years fully funded. That is the College Promise program. It is right now for City of Mesa students, but we have raised funds. So if a student comes to us that is outside of our service area, we have money for them too. You can, if you want to go to college, we will help you get there. And again, we have so many partners who have given us. The City of Mesa also matched us last year with our first $200,000. And so we started off with a really nice sum to help as many students who wanted to be helped. And with the I Belong program and the College Promise program, we are looking at retention rates for students almost at 90%. So once you eradicate obstacles, the data is clear. Get them their books and supplies early, take care of those costs. Students do stay. All right. And so Thunderbird strong. Go Thunderbirds. All right. Thank you. All right.
Well, thank you so much for the presentation. Just want to put a note out there. I know Mesa, I talked to you about this, Mesa School, public school, but we are going to be working with you in Tempe because Tempe only has one high school district. So we're going to be coming to you for that for Tempe Union too. So that,
Absolutely.
yes. So I'm going to be talking to the Tempe Union in the city of Tempe, and we want that same promise for our kids in our city.
All right.
Another thing is, I love your program when you're talking about the difference with IT and nursing. We get that quite a bit in our schools. We get the guys are going to the computer science, math, IT, any of that. The girls tend to go into nursing, teaching, any of that, and they feel like it's like split by gender, and that's not what we need. And we need our kids to understand that they can go in any direction they want.
They really can.
They really can.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And it is important that they see people who look like them doing that work.
Exactly. And people always think that means by color, or race, but it also means by gender, by sex, by all of that. So we do need to show that it's okay if you want to go into the IT program as a woman, or if you want to be in the nursing program as a male. So I fully agree with that statement. Also, one other thing, when you're talking about the workforce, Eddie Johnson right now has a program he's doing, and he brings single mothers, and he funds them for education. I want to get us connected with them so we can get in that program, because he funds about 100 mothers a year.
Oh, wow.
To go off to college, fully fund them. And a lot of them are saying that they just can't take all the time to do the university. So I would love for Mesa to be a partner in that program. So I will get that connected over
Thank you so
right
much.
away for that. My last question before I give it over to Councilman Keating. What is it that we as a city of Tempe can be a great partner for you in Mesa Community College? One of the largest, actually is the largest public Maricopa system in the...
Probably in Arizona, but...
In Arizona, but it's probably one of the largest in the country. It used to be the largest for a long time.
We're going to get back there again.
Yes, we will.
Give me some time. We're going to get there.
Yes, we will.
But I didn't hear you.
What is the city of Tempe?
What can we do
to help? We can to strengthen our partnership, because we tend to hear, oh, it's Mesa, but no, our kids are going. If we talk about it, more of our kids go to Mesa Community College than they go to any other college around.
Okay.
So,
I do want to say that we are in one of my colleagues' territory, and that's Rio Salado. And Rio Salado is a wonderful partner as well. And so I would love for students who want to come to Mesa to come. Why? Because we're an inviting, welcoming environment.
yes.
We have 15 sports that our students participate in and do quite well. It is, to me, it's the best of the Maricopa colleges. I mean, come on, I love all y'all, but we're the best. And we also graduate our students. Our students
Yes.
come, they graduate, they get jobs, and we try things. We are probably one of the greatest innovators. And I'm not saying the other colleges are not, but I'm Dr. Robinson, president of Mesa. So
Exactly.
I've got wonderful people who show up when I need them to show up and help. And I really want to emphasize how flexible we are. I think that there's so much change in our region, there's so much change in the world and in Arizona, that it really is important that when students graduate, they need to have touched a college campus. They need to have touched, had a couple of units already, because with the skills that are needed now, it's more skills-based. Life is more skills-based. But we know in time you need certifications and you need degrees. So I think it would be great for us to really move to getting more dual enrollment students at the high school level. I'd also like to see us in the middle school
Yes.
space, even in the elementary school
Yes.
space. The first time I was introduced to college, I was in the 3rd grade, right? And I had some high school students come in at UCLA in their bomber jackets. And I looked as a 3rd grader, and I was like, I want to be like them.
Yeah.
Not knowing, of course, there's no way that I could know that that's where I would go to college. And you never know when that seed is planted. So it really is important for us to talk about how flexible we are as an institution. You can take one class, we prefer you take 15 units. We prefer that you participate in our programs and our associated student body. We want you to get involved in the community. We want you to have the full effect of being on a college campus at Mesa. We have all types of students, part-time students. We have dual enrollment students. We have our average age is 26, 27. And so most students are parents. So you'll get a little bit of everything. So.
Well, you know what? You're absolutely correct, because you're right now sitting in the best city in the country, Tempe.
Yes.
So I'm not afraid to say it. I'll scream it at the top of my lungs that we're the best city in the town. So of course I understand how you feel. Also, let people know that you have a 4-year.
Yes. Oh, very important. This is
Yes.
our first semester and it's been wildly successful. We actually have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in early childhood education, dual languages, and we also have data analytics, computer programming. And so imagine a student being able to complete the entire process for under 20,000, probably in a range of about 15,000, complete the entire bachelor's degree. And so those are access and opportunity points that are so important for the community college, for folks to understand why we are important and significant. Because what I think the greatest burden that we have is when you have a really smart, engaged students who don't feel college is for them because they can't afford it. And so with having a bachelor's degree at the 2-year level, now we're making it affordable. Students also participate in the College Promise Program and the I Belong program. All of those benefits extend to our bachelor's degree programs as well. And in the next couple of years, we will have more.
All
We're
right.
starting with 2, but we are developing more. We don't know what they're going to be yet, but they should be out in 25 and 26. It may be nursing next, and then 1 in 26. But it'll be a couple of years, but we will continue to have those relevant programs so that students can come and, of course, gain employment, continue on with their master's degrees. Imagine finishing with under like 15,000 and then going to get your master's degrees, and you haven't incurred any debt.
Yeah.
So I think that's the flex now.
That is
Finishing your
pretty-
college without debt.
That is great. And also to let everybody know, the ASU, that you are not taking away any of their degrees. None of the ones that they have, you're utilizing, they have to give. So
Absolutely. And
yes.
that was a really important point, Councilwoman Hodge. We could not have a degree that competed that was in competition with.
Yes.
It had to be something they were not doing.
Yes.
And so that's important too, that our community knows that we're not cannibalizing each other,
No.
right? So we are doing something distinctly different, and that's important to know.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I want to put that out there. Councilmember Keating, you have any questions?
I don't, but I really appreciate your presentation and thank you for taking the time to be here today. And it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of good work just a few miles away. So we really appreciate you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Well,
thank
I'll be
you.
in contact with you.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you all
so much,
for your
Doctor.
time this
Thank you.
afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I'd like to introduce Colin Diaz from the Tempe Chamber of Commerce to provide this committee with some updates on state of business here in the city and how we can be good partners. Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you for having me. First, I'll give you an update. It's 3-1 top of 4, so they're trending in the right direction. Don't know if you're able to see that or not, but my name is Colin Diaz. Like I said, President, CEO, Tempe Chamber. Been here the last couple of years. You obviously know who I am, but if there's folks that are listening that don't know, very briefly, Chamber's been in the city serving the business community for since 115 years, since 1908. We're a 501c6, but we have a 501c3 number of partners. So as you heard from our previous speakers, partners as well, throughout the East Valley. So in Mesa, Gilbert, Chandler, Scottsdale, Apache Junction, Queen Creek. And I'm just going to touch a little bit on what we're doing towards workforce. So in our foundation, Tempe Leadership, which you're well aware of, but we have an adult program as well as our youth leadership and Tempe Cares. And then in Career Ready Tempe, I see some of our friends that have worked with us in the past in this space with youth workforce readiness. So we have our program where we're working with rising seniors in the school district, partnering them with businesses so that they get the on-job experience. And then grants and scholarships, we partnered with the city of Tempe and with Congressman Stanton's office on a BIPOC micromanufacturing grant. That cohort has gone through just about a year. We started in January of this year. And then a Black Women in Business Supportive Grant Program where we've got about $100,000 that's going in grants to businesses in and around the East Valley. And then our Tempe Workforce Skills Accelerator Program in partnership with Rio Salado, which I'll touch on briefly. And then Disadvantaged Business Membership Scholarships. So we have some of our businesses that have partnered with us because the benefits that we have as far as our membership, we didn't want to have that be a buying decision for businesses, particularly for our smaller ones. And then on the workforce development front, I'll touch a little bit on Hire Tempe, which is a newer program that'll be coming online soon. Our workforce readiness study, which was it was about a year and a half ago, but it was a 2-year study that we had of our business community. And then the Tempe Capital Campaign, which when it's all said and done, will raise a significant amount of money to address work that's already being done in housing, talent pipeline and attraction and retention, as well as homelessness and childcare. So I would challenge anyone in this room and anybody listening to go to a business, and if you get to speak to the business owner, one of their top 3 concerns, if not the biggest concern, is finding and retaining a qualified workforce. It is what keeps folks up at night. You know, whether it was pre-COVID, after COVID, or even during, the landscape of employment has changed, and so the needs of the employers have changed, and that was part of what fueled our research. So we polled about 200 businesses, asked a myriad of questions in terms of what keeps them up at night, what are they seeing from the workforce, what would they like to see differently, and we pare this down to some generalities. We have specifics for different industries, but as it relates, 63% of the respondents said that they'd be open to seeing something like a micro-credentialing program where you've got bite-size, targeted education that can be stackable. So if you happen to be let's just say you have a family, you're a full-time employee, or you're already a full-time student, but you need to get advancement in a specific skill set, whether it be data analytics or small business management, customer service, you're able to do that in a time frame that makes sense for you and in a cost structure that is affordable. So the highest areas of needs were in operations and management, customer service, as well as IT. And then the soft skills or 21st century skills, depending on how you frame it, is in communication, problem solving, and leadership. So this is fairly common knowledge from both Zippia as well as the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, But educational attainment is tied directly to earning capacity. So the additional capacity that somebody has to learn, the higher their lifetime overall earnings tends to be. And on the other side of that, the higher their education, generally the lower percentage they fall into the unemployment. Doesn't mean that they won't, but they're usually a much smaller percentage and there for shorter amount of time. And all of this work that I'm sharing ties into Achieve 65 here in Tempe, which was the goal to have those that are 25 and older to have 65% of them have attainment of a degree or certificate by the year 2030. So as I mentioned, this was the hard skills gap that was illustrated in our study. So sales and marketing, customer service, and data analytics were the first three that we chose. You also see frontline staff management, IT, mobile, and web design. It's great to hear the work that Mesa is doing in the IT space because that's obviously a high demand and high need. And then on the soft skills side, as I mentioned, communication, problem solving, and leadership. So as a result, I'll come back to the Tempe Workforce Skills Accelerator, but these are a few of the other programs that we have that are addressing workforce development and some of those issues for employers. So our economic outlook, which takes place in January, we were able to bring in those in the employment sector to talk about trends there, to talk about hiring practices, and to be able to address some retention. I mentioned the grant program for Black women in business that's in partnership with Wells Fargo. And then our business academy, which we've had for a while, and our mentorship program, but we're really gearing a lot of it now towards that piece of retaining the employees that are here. As you both are well aware, we're the only landlocked city in the East Valley, and so as our neighbors to the north, south, east, and west continue to expand, for us to continue to be competitive and innovative and cutting edge, we need to be ahead of those trends. And Career Ready Tempe, as I mentioned, so I'm gonna move ahead. Some of the other programs we've been working on in the last year, supplier diversity workshops. So as companies are growing and expanding their footprint, they're also looking at who they do business with, how they do business, and where they're doing business. So not only shopping locally, but being able to diversify the suppliers they use for their products and services. We're doing trainings on procurement because it doesn't really matter if those opportunities are available if you as a business owner are not able to align with those resources. And then excited to announce in partnership with the mayor, city manager's office, and then we'll be working with Michael, the new economic development director, on business retention and expansion visits. So these will be times where we'll go out to particular businesses in the city, hear about their pain points, talk about things that the city can do and is doing, as same as from the chamber standpoint, and then dropping in on those businesses that are in the surrounding area. So we've already had our business roadshow that we've had for two different regions, if you will. So we were down in southeast Tempe in the research, ASU research area there, and then we were also downtown. But this is a little bit more targeted and going to specific businesses. Grant writing workshops and industry cluster meetings. So the industry cluster meetings, and for both Councilmember Hodge and Keating, you guys would have personal invites. So if there's industries that stand out to you or maybe even specifics that you'd want to hear from more, this would be, for example, bringing restaurant and retail together in a lunchtime or evening type setting to talk about what are the issues and concerns they have, what are the needs that they have, and even some of the things to hear what the city is doing that they may not be well aware of. So bringing those two stakeholders together. And then Hire Tempe, this is a platform that we'll be launching likely by Q2 of next year. And this is a platform where if you are an employer, you'd be able to post your positions there. So think of Indeed and Monster, Career Builder, even LinkedIn, but a little bit more advanced and hyper focused on local. So if you were posting positions, we'd ask that you'd post them a couple weeks early on that platform. The end user would all be residents within our zip codes. And the idea is we're not asking for employers to water down their application pool. We're asking for them to give an opportunity for local talent. And so if, for example, if Randy were on there and found a position, you'd have somebody that's local. Statistically, those that work within a 15 to 20 minute drive tend to stay with the companies they're at. If they're in Tempe, they're earning money in Tempe, spending their money in Tempe. And so housing and transportation and those things that usually are issues wouldn't be as big of a challenge. So this is just looking at the micro-credentialing program, the Tempe Workforce Skills Accelerator. These are the first 3 cohorts that we've launched. So the small business management, data analytics, and quality customer service. The great thing about Rio Salado College is that they have rolling enrollment. So if you were to participate in one of these programs, you could start as early as next Monday, but you could also start the following Monday. And so we'll be launching with our first cohort in November. And so we have the partnership I mentioned with Rio Salado College. This last piece, we didn't want it to be a buying decision, as I said earlier. If you're a smaller business, it might make sense to have some of your employees go through this program so that they're up-tooled and be able to have a higher capacity. But if it's a buying decision and you don't have the financial means to make it happen, you probably won't participate. So in partnership with our foundation and with Amazon, we were able to secure $20,000 that we'll be providing in scholarships for students that would be going through that cohort. So many of our first and second year cohort, as well as future cohorts, won't have a hard cost coming into that program. Just a couple, not directly tied to workforce development, but just some upcoming events on our end. We have our Copper 5 Awards on November 8th, which is a Wednesday. This is at the 161st Refueling Wing at Sky Harbor. And so that is where we honor, there's usually 2 awardees each year, and this is a memorial honor for those that unfortunately lost their lives in the Copper 5 air accident in the 80s. And then we have our first annual Tempe Chamber Foundation Classic, a golf tournament on November 9th. Look forward to seeing some of you all there. And then our State of the District on December 8th, which is Friday, will be at the Omni. So left my information. You two definitely know how to get a hold of me, but if anybody else would like to, be happy to be available. And if you guys have any questions, happy to answer those.
Thank you very much, Mr. Diaz. I love that. I have 2 comments and a quick question.
Sounds good.
I love that you went out and identified business needs and then created programs specifically to address those needs. I think that's very, very proactive, to the needs of the community. Tempe, as you know, is a very unique community and not like any other city on the planet. And we're certainly very lucky to have such a thoughtful and engaged Chamber of Commerce here to be partners with us. I was at the Career Ready Tempe graduation, and that was a great event to see all those young kids, entering the workforce, excited, getting real life experience before they actually go out there and do it. So you guys have so many beneficial programs to the city, and it'd be hard to imagine what the business community would look like without you guys there to help everybody along. So I do appreciate that. Quick question about Hire Tempe. Where do you find that platform?
We're actually building the platform. So my last community was working on something similar with a web designer, and so we needed to build it because there's specifics of it that are a little bit different than some of the aforementioned programs, and then have the responsiveness, especially now as things change at a rapid pace. We don't want to be beholden to a developer that has just call it a cookie cutter frame, if you will, for the site. And so as we get real time to what you pointed out earlier, real time feedback from those that are utilizing it to real time feedback from the employers, we want to be able to make those changes in a timely manner.
Well, as a guy on your slide about most sought after job positions, as a guy that works in sales and marketing with an IT background, I'll be very interested to take a look at that platform once it's available to the public.
Sounds good.
I do appreciate you taking the time to come in today. I really just wanted to get an update from you, just because I know there's so many different programs that you guys make available that the general public might never have heard of. So we do appreciate you coming in to talk about it.
Thank you very much.
Yep, I have a couple, because Colin is a front runner. We've had you here, three, 4 times already?
Couple, yeah.
Yeah, a couple already. He comes all the time for us. He loves us. Colin, the question I have for you is this presentation something that you can take on the road to the school districts? Because not only does the community, the colleges and everyone need to know, but also the school districts also need to know what to gear towards to make sure that we are producing business ready kids that don't want to go off to college. I know that we would want them to be ready, but there are going to be some kids that are going to be like, I want to go in the workforce. So this would be something I think that that should go to the high schools, and I will help you to have a time to present it, because I think that this is something, if we're looking towards educating the community about what the businesses in Tempe are looking for, let's go into the workforce that is about to enter the workforce or just started the workforce.
So the short answer is absolutely. The longer answer is I've already started some conversations, both on the employment sector and then on the educational side. Some of the best practices I've seen in communities I've been and served before was bringing employers to the schools, but then also bringing educators and students to do
Yes.
site visits. So whether it be in the manufacturing, I can remember as clear as day that there was a community about 10 years ago I was in that had an employer that they had a few jobs, about 5 a year, that you needed a high school diploma and to pass a certain proficiency exam. But the starting salary was pretty significant. They did training in there, and a lot of those positions went vacant because they didn't know that it existed. And so that was the role we played in trying to make that connection. And in terms of apprenticeships and other opportunities for those that may not find themselves into education directly, we're working on that as well. So the short answer is absolutely would be open to any connections there, but that's already something we're trying to.
I would love to. I would love to connect you. We have a new superintendent. So I would love to introduce you and connect you to, I know you might have met her, but introduce her as our superintendent now. So I would love to do that. And my second thing is I was going to ask the same thing about Hire Tempe. I cannot wait until that comes out. I'm excited for that. What I would like is, will you update me, because Sapan and I do a newsletter every month, and we would like a little piece of that clip that we can have like a kick on, that they can say if you're hiring, if you need a job, and we can go right into that. I want to put that as like a stay pillar in my newsletter every month. So, because people always ask me about employment. So that would be great. So whenever you're ready with that. And the last thing is I was going to ask you about scholarship. I know you said you have 20,000. What can we do to help with that part of it when that money fizzes out? Is there something that you need, like, because I know we have grants we can get or whatever. Is it something that the city can help you connect with? Is it something that you need? Because we want to make sure that small businesses are not going to be able to afford to send off to go to they're going to need the scholarship money. They're definitely going to need it. So what can we do on our end without, I know Tom is not here and he probably will scream if he heard me, but not without breaking the break of City of Tempe, but what can we do in the city to help with that? To make sure that our constituents at our city, our businesses can still, do it if they don't have the funds to do it.
Well, I think first, promotion is a big piece. I mean, we have a pretty large database of folks that we reach out to, but you as a city have a much larger one in terms of whether it be through the business survey and some of those platforms that are used to collect information. So educating folks that exists. The other part, we're going after grants to support that. So maybe there's an opportunity to go after one jointly with the city where we can show a larger capacity, because it does tie into the Achieve 65. So you wouldn't really wouldn't be a stretch in how this makes sense for the city to be a part of it. So I'd say that initially, and then what you already spoken to. I know that each of you all on council have your newsletters, and if it makes sense to add it into one of the issues, that would be well received, because a lot of times you'd be surprised how many times a resident, excuse me, who may not have a business here in the city, but obviously most people work somewhere. We've had some that have reached out to us for partnerships through that type of communication.
Okay, thank you so much, Rosa. Keith, you could tell Tom I didn't try to break the bank on it. I asked for grants and scholarships, so let him know that. Okay,
right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hodge. Thank you very much, Mr. Diaz. Next up, I'd like to introduce not the CFO of my company, but the CEO of Tempe Tourism. Still get a heart attack every time he emails me. Michael Martin from Tempe Tourism. Welcome. Thank you very much.
I get confused with the country music singer too sometimes. So
there actually is a country music singer named Randy Keating, if you can believe it.
Oh.
He's on YouTube. It's
maybe we should create a band together. Surprise some people.
Yeah, sounds like something I'd be very good at.
I wouldn't be, so. Well, thank you for including me in today's topic. Once again, for the audience, I'm Michael Martin with the Tempe Tourism Office. Our organization was formed in 1988 to promote the city of Tempe as a desirable visitor destination. We have a staff of 12 full-time as well as 21 board members. So our job obviously is to promote the city of Tempe, brand the city as a desirable destination, and bring more people to Tempe so they spend more money, thus bring more revenue to the city. Today I'm going to give you a quick recap on our economic impact of tourism on our community, and then I'm going to give you a year-to-date update on our stats as it stands today for the calendar year, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about hospitality industry and the workforce needs. So to start off with, we conduct this study on an annual basis. This is for the calendar year 2022. We had 4.2 million visitors. And to put that in perspective, Phoenix had about 20. Las Vegas has about 35 million. So we have a little ways to go to catch up, but we don't need to catch up to them. As long as we take care of the visitors that are here and they're spending their money and they're having a great time, that's all that matters. We have about $1 billion in spending, $109 million generated in state and local taxes, and about 8,400 jobs. This is slightly down. Pre-pandemic, we had about 9,400 jobs pre-pandemic. So the job numbers are recovering, and we're not quite there yet. So we have a little ways to go. Yes.
Okay, where did we lose the jobs out of the 9,400? What was the major
More than likely, it was
impact?
at probably the small business level in restaurants, and as well as some of our hotels. And the hotel side, so if you think about if you're a hotel that has a lot of meetings, for example, and those meetings are requiring a lot of food service staff, banquet staff. Pre-pandemic, we had a lot of that business. During the pandemic, that really went downhill, basically. Now those meetings are coming back up. So we lost a lot of jobs in food service because of the lack of demand for that type of business. We are seeing a return on the meeting side, and we're not quite there. To give you an idea, in the past, we would get leads for meetings for, say, 200 to 250 people. We're getting the same volume of leads, but now they're smaller, 120, 150 people. They are coming back in terms of larger numbers, but it's going to take a while to get back to that.
Is the Omni helping?
Omni is helping for sure. You'll see that in our data.
Okay.
And the breakdown of how it's spent, 243 million in lodging, 254 million in food and beverage. Those are the two top ways people spend money. 181 million in retail. I'd like to remind people that anytime you're in a store, I don't care where you are, Arizona Mills, downtown Tempe, Marketplace, probably if there's 4 people in there, the 4th person is probably a tourist. So people love to shop when they travel. So it's a very important part of the tourism industry. So you have lodging, retail, food and beverage, entertainment / attractions, and of course, transportation that are all included in the study for the industries that are part of the tourism industry as a whole. So our hotel performance right now, this is year-to-date 2023. This is actually through September of 2023. So you can see in 2019, we were at 73%. We're at 67%, but the difference is that since 2019, we've added about 1,000 new rooms to the city. That's a lot of rooms, by the way, for one community to absorb in a short period of time, especially during a pandemic. So the fact that we hit 68% this past year is a really good sign for us. And I think by the end of the year, we have about 5 months to go on the data, we'll probably meet or exceed 2022 in terms of occupancy. This is the average daily rate. This is a standard across the country that is happening. Rates are going up fairly significantly. In 2019, our average daily rate was $114. Now it's $153. And so we do not see that coming down anytime soon. Part of that is inflationary, and part of it is pent-up demand. People post-pandemic wanted to get out of their house. They wanted to travel. They wanted to see, just be free, if you will. And so travel is one of the ways that they were able to release that energy. So demand went up, so the rates are going up. And this is total rooms sold. So in 2019, we had 1.6 million. 2022 was slightly higher. It just shows 1.6 million, but it was a difference of probably about 150,000 room nights. We anticipate, this is actually through, again, September. So we have a few months left to reach the end of 2023. So we anticipate we'll hit 1.6 million room nights sold, just like it was last year. And this is where the Omni is really showing their impact. And revenue for hotels. The hotels' revenue in 2019 was 186 million. Last year, it was a record of $232 million for Tempe. And again, I believe by the end of the year, we'll probably come close to, or if not exceed, the $232 million that we hit last year. And an important number here, bed tax. So this number for year-to-date 2023 is only through July, because the data is always a couple months late. But last year we had a record revenue of $11.4 million in bed tax. The bed tax goes into the city's general fund, as a reminder. Our budget is, our contract with the city states that the funding that we do receive comes from the bed tax,
Can
not
I
the
ask you
general
one
fund.
quick question about this? Is the bed tax, you think it was higher towards the 22? Did the Super Bowl have anything to do with any of this bed tax?
Year-to-date 2023 includes Super Bowl.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
Okay.
So the number that you see here will probably hit or maybe exceed the 11.4 million. Again, we have about 4 or 5 months left to collect the data through the end of the year, but you will see a boost. February, we definitely saw a boost in hotel rates. It's a spurt. It doesn't last, unfortunately, all the year long, but we will definitely see that impact our totals this year. And by the way, this data comes from a company called Smith Travel Research, which I receive updates on a weekly basis and a monthly basis. So I want to talk about the hospitality industry as a whole in terms of its workforce. We've actually never really delved into workforce issues in the hospitality industry. Our hotel partners, which are hotels, restaurants, shops, retail, really are hoping that we focus, obviously, our attention on marketing the destination, branding the destination, getting people to visit. But I will tell you that since the pandemic, a lot of our work has pivoted a little bit in that we are getting more involved in issues similar to this. So as you probably heard of the Team Tempe group, we're working closer with economic development, communications at the city, the DTA, tourism, and so forth, to really speak to the business community, get out and talk to them. You're obviously involved with one of our Tempe roadshows, business roadshows. So the hospitality industry is responding because they are attending these programs and want to learn more about how they can tap into resources they may not be aware of. So in the industry itself, it's a little bit different than a lot of other industries. You talk about flexible work hours. A lot of the small businesses or restaurants, shops, they realize that a lot of their staff might be part-time or they might be students, so they work with them on flexible hours. People don't think of it as a growth industry, but it really is. Just out of from pulling from memory, I remember a general manager who was here in Tempe who actually started as a valet at the front desk. And so it has growth potential if you want to stay within the industry, and if you want to grow. They do provide really good opportunities, especially the hotel industry. They like to mentor and build from within because it's expensive to have to hire new staff. So they really like the idea of keeping their staff on the payroll, so to speak, as they grow in their career. They have opportunities for relocation, hotel industry especially. Many people think that if you look at the Canopy or at the Westin, that those are franchises. They're not owned locally, so a lot of these companies have hotels or restaurants, well, hotel side, in multiple cities. So if you have an opportunity to relocate within the company, you can do that. The new director of sales, for example, from the Omni, just relocated here from Washington State. So there are opportunities for relocation and movement. This is an industry that's hyper-focused on customer service. So it provides a very limited opportunity for hybrid. And this is a very big deal because since the pandemic, a lot of people are looking at opportunities where they can work a hybrid schedule, 3-2, or work from home. You really can't call in front desk service. You have to be on site, and you always have to be happy and always have to be smiling no matter what kind of bad day you've had. So customer service is extremely important. And so I always like to remind people whenever they have an experience at a restaurant or a hotel that might not be top service, just remember the person behind the desk might be having a difficult day, but they have to be there at the show up. So it's a very customer service oriented business. Here in Arizona, as you probably can imagine, and in other places in the country, we are very, very seasonal. Summer is the low season, and that's when the occupancy rates dip. That's when the meetings slow down versus spring. So there's going to be a higher demand for jobs part of the year, and then lower, say, during the summer season. And that actually works well for us in Tempe because a lot of our employees are from Arizona State University, for example. So they're not necessarily here in summer, so it does work to our advantage. And it's a highly competitive market. I just mentioned that Vegas has 35 million visitors per year. Phoenix has 20 million. tourism is across the board the industry that most communities across the country really invest in and believe in because it generates that revenue. So we're all competing with each other for that revenue, and thus it's competitive for the hospitality industry to keep people employed. So those are some of the items to keep in mind for the hospitality industry. So from our perspective, like I mentioned before, it's never been something that has been proposed to us to really look at the workforce for Tempe, for the hospitality industry. So what I'm proposing that we do is that we figure out what the needs are, really talk to our partners. And in order to do that, I would suggest that we do a survey specifically within the tourism industry, within Tempe. Ask them the question, what are you looking for? What is your need? Colin was mentioning that they did that survey, and one of the top was customer service in terms of soft skills needs that are needed. So I think it would behoove us to do a survey, collect the data, and then connect with the workforce development experts, the chamber, the Maricopa County Community Colleges, people who are doing this on a regular basis, Arizona State University, finding out how we as a tourism organization can connect our industry directly with these resources. We can do that in a number of ways through webinars, workshops. As I mentioned earlier, our hotels turn out for events. They like to attend these events and learn more. So we can figure out a way to connect the dots, so to speak. And then we, in turn, can also try to invest out of our budget and look at things like job fairs, scholarships, apprenticeships, that type of thing. So it is something, like I said, that's new for us, that we've never really delved into, but it's definitely something that I think is worthwhile because the industry in Tempe is pretty tight-knit, and it's an important industry. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to follow us on our social media or reach out to me at my email. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Obviously, I like your approach to identifying the workforce needs. I think the chamber, that's something they did very well in my previous comments. So I do appreciate that discovery and data, driven approach to it all. Obviously, tourism is good to the city of Tempe. So your organization is doing a great job.
Thank you.
Keep it up. We need the money. So, and plus we want to show off our city too.
Yes.
Everyone that ever comes here is stunned
Yes.
when they actually get here and see what Tempe's all about. My friends from back home, they have no idea of like the metropolitan feel that, it actually is. In Michigan, you really don't have that outside of maybe Detroit, Grand Rapids. So
Yeah.
Tempe being a town of 200,000 people to have that feel, I think is unique value proposition to a tourist that wants to get out of Midwest winter, for example.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to see, and you guys already do a great job of promoting unique spots and activities in Tempe. But in my opinion, our downtown still has not fully recovered from COVID. And you can tell that just by the number of vacancies that we have. But we do have new places that are just coming online. I was just talking with the city manager today about the new sushi place. I keep wanting to call it Gang Gang. It's Bang Bang.
Yep.
That's why I keep wanting to call it Gang Gang. But, it's just to let people know that, hey, Mill Avenue's coming back.
Right.
And, I don't know if we're allowed to do this, but I certainly would shoot a video or something there to promote on Tempe tourism, saying, hey, come check out this new place. You may not have been to Mill in a few years, but not only has Mill grown up quite a bit in my time being on council, but the turnover is bringing some really cool new spots. I like that Japanese place but it was where that wine place was. I can't even remember now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole new Mill Avenue than there was pre-COVID.
Right.
So I think you guys already do a fantastic job in promoting, but that's just something that as we get whenever something finally goes into the Rulabula space, let's make a big deal about letting people know about it. And the city needs to do some of that too. But I think you guys are doing a tremendous job, obviously, and the numbers bear that out. So thank you for your service to the city, and thank you for your time here today. Councilmember Hodge?
Okay. Thank you so much. You know what? We make such a great team because I'm so education based. My mind is all around education. This is the businessman. So thank you. Because you know what? I do forget about him. We need to bring them in and talk to him. So thank you for remembering. And I'm not saying that I'm not pro business. I'm just so so education, my mind twists that way. But I have a question about education. When you're talking about apprenticeships and scholarships, is there any way that we, as I just told Colin, can we work with the schools to find out, because our kids do not know enough about what is downtown, what they can do employment wise. So would you mind working with me to get some information out to the high school students as
Yeah,
well?
I think that there could be a really cool tie-in. Maybe it's not necessarily a job fair, but an education fair where the hospitality
Yes.
industry is part of several industries that actually go into the high school and talk about the industry itself. I think that Arizona State University, I graduated ASU with a degree in tourism 30 years ago or so, and that program has evolved. So they have sponsor or internship programs that we can again introduce to our hospitality partners. So there are different partners that I think the nice thing about the metropolitan area is that we have an expansive range of people that we can rely on. That you just spoke to two of them, and so I think there is definitely a possibility for us to be able to bring that message to the students and plant the seed early and let them know
Yes.
that there's a career path within the industry.
There's a lot of kids. I bring a lot of information about education, about upper level, higher secondary education, but there is kids who are walking out and they're not going off to college. We want to make sure that they're workforce ready, and we need to hear from, the hospitality, because there's kids who want to do that, and they don't know how to get into it.
Sure.
So I would love to have that conversation. Thank you so much. If you want anything, but just like I told Colin, the council does have our newsletter. So if it's something that you want us to highlight as a council, please give it to us and we can be a partner. And is there anything that we can do that can help
I think that
generate?
you mentioned
And I
that-
think what he said was with the video is great. I think that's
Actually, we had a call with the director of marketing from Bang Bang. They're based in San Diego. I talked to them on Friday. And so we are doing that type of outreach to any new businesses coming in. We're looking at how we can really make a splash on social media in certain ways. I think from our perspective, being part of the process or being part of the team, so to speak, is really helpful. I'm on the committee for MARA, for example, the Mill Avenue Restaurant Accelerators. So in that work, I'm able to understand what the needs are, what's happening at the city, and then conveying that to my staff so they understand what's taking place so we can help promote. And there are different pieces of business or pieces of information that our hotels and restaurants are always craving from us, so we pass on information constantly. So as long as we're fed the information, as long as we are able to connect with the city departments that make the most sense and keep that communication going, I think we're in good shape.
Okay, I have one more suggestion. I think you and Colin need to get together. And he has to have all the businesses in Tempe, do a tour of the Omni. So when they are looking at things, maybe that will be something they look at and see, because they don't know exactly some people may not know what the Omni has, but they don't have. And when we do our roadshow, maybe have that we have our own convention center right in the city of Tempe. You don't have to go out and look for a place to do your retreats, your everything. So
meetings,
at least we need to highlight it on both ends. So maybe work with Colin and the city of Tempe. We all get together and say, hey, this is us. This is Tempe. You don't have to go to Phoenix.
Behind the scenes
Scottsdale
tours.
Mesa. That's right. So that's just a thought for me. But thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Thank you, Councilmember Hodge. Now we'll move on to any new items for consideration. I do not have any as of yet. Councilmember Hodge?
I do. I have a couple. So one, I have ASU I want to do ASU a presentation, because they do have a presentation they were supposed to do for us, but they did not. Also, I'm going to bring Rio Salado back, because they had a presentation they were going to do today, but something happened and they have to reschedule. And the last one I have is the Hope team, because I went out with them and I had a lot of information and Scott talking about the workforce and stuff. So we want to bring them in front of us too. So those
Okay.
are my three.
See Pan and Annie, no doubt, have those notes. Okay. Now we're on to announcements, and my only announcement is go D-backs. Hopefully they're still winning. If not, I'll be disappointed. But Councilmember Hodge, any announcements?
My announcements also go D-backs, and also that our first basketball game is coming up. So, we got to go out there with the Phoenix Suns, because we're taking it this year.
So we're not going to have a meeting in November, correct, Councilmember Hodge?
No meeting in November.
Okay, so we will get out to the public when the next scheduled meeting will be well in advance. And with that, we are adjourned. Well, I motion we adjourn.
I second that.
Sounds like that's approved. Thank you, Councilmember Hodge.
Have a wonderful day.